This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Legend that is Manny Navarro. How you feeling, baby? You feeling good?
Feeling great. Oh, how are you?
Very good, very good. We got some Canes fans to kind of relax a little bit since they landed a 5-star yesterday. Since, you know, if you're not a 4 or 5-star, that's it. Your coach sucks. You can't recruit. You can't do anything. Not like, you know, it's really. But since we love the shiny objects, talk to us about the shiny object yesterday.
Well, JoJo Trader's one of the guys I told you about 2 years ago when we were talking about recruiting and Mario and whether or not we can judge him for being a really good recruiter. This was one of the 2 local guys I identified because when you look at Miami's recent past, right, of all the elite wide receivers in South Florida who have left town to go play for Alabama or Ohio State or other places, this was the guy I said, this was one of the 2 guys I said they had to get. The other one was Jeremiah Smith. Jeremiah Smith, of course, committed to Ohio State. And JoJo last night decided to pull the trigger and commit to Miami. And you know, he's a guy, you remember Ryan Mack at the University of Miami. He was a linebacker back when Nate Webster and Dan Morgan and those years
Come on, man.
Miami was on probation.
I'm old. I remember Rod Mack. Come on, bro. I'm old.
Well, Rod, you know, he's been the youth football coach for the Miami Gardens Ravens for 8 years. And so he coached all of these kids to multiple sort of youth football national championships because you don't just win your area, you win the state, and then you go and you play the national championships. And so JoJo, Rod's son Ryan, who's a 3-star cornerback commitment to Miami, Jeremiah Smith, Cedric Bailey, who's going to NC State to play quarterback, Davion Goss, all these elite Miami area kids from the Miami Gardens area played on the same team growing up together. And so Rod actually helped raise JoJo. JoJo's basically been living with him since he was 11 years old. JoJo's mom lives in Delaware, and so he's kind of got a family situation there. And so in the end, you know, family is what helped, I think, bring this together for Miami, having a former Hurricane involved in this kid's life, this kid wanting to stay home, JoJo Trader wanting to stay home and rep his city, which he's done well over the years with that Miami Gardens Ravens team. And so now Miami's got a lot of momentum, and that's why it's a big deal because JoJo is one of the best receivers that I've seen down here. I remember watching him for the first time when he was at Miami Central as a sophomore. He had a pick 6 that was like for 100 yards in the state championship game, and then caught 2 touchdown passes. Like it was, and he was only, you know, 15 years old doing this kind of stuff. So I think he's a really special talent, and it's a great pickup for Mario.
The highlights are pretty nice. He was making some nice and some difficult catches, some catches in traffic too, which is,
yeah,
I'm big on that when guys are able to do that. It's one of the things I love about Jimmy Butler is his driving to the hole. You don't strip the guy. I mean, he's got like ice grip hands and you know, that kind of shit. Just that's just not normal, man. Mm-hmm. And I like what I saw from the kid that he was catching stuff in traffic.
Well, what I would say besides the athleticism and speed and everything that he has, what I honestly think this is the kind of kid who could play 2 ways in college. I think you could put him at cornerback and he would shut down the best receiver on the other side of the football. To me, I really do. I honestly think he's better served playing cornerback because that's such a hard position to find guys, right? But Miami will take him at receiver. They don't have a receiver like him, a guy who has hands like he does. But what I love about JoJo is he's a very humble and quiet kid. He shows it on the field. He kind of flashes, you know, that Kane swagger on the field. But the reality, as soon as he steps off of it, he keeps his mouth shut. He smiles. He's very sort of shy and reserved. And, you know, he's not going to be the loud alpha male in the locker room, but he's certainly a kid that people follow because of how he leads by example. And he's one of those kind of kids that other players want to play with him because they know when he gets on the field, he's going to dominate and he's going to do his job. And so kids respect that. And I think it's a kind of personality that helps bring other elite players in. So I think the next couple of days are going to be interesting for the Canes. I think we could see some flips from other programs in terms of commitments. We could see some more commitments of guys that they've been chasing. They had a lot of really talented players come down and take official visits in June. And some of those guys, I think, are making some decisions, and we'll see where it goes.
I'm looking forward to that, man. That's good. It'll just take some time. We got to be patient. He'll get this thing turned around, dude. It's just one hell of a mess. The other Frankie is asking, is Teddy Foster picking the Gators over the Canes?
Teddy Foster. I don't even know who Teddy Foster is, to be honest with you.
Neither do I. But Frankie's asking. Is Frankie asking about? Is Frankie asking about a wrestler?
I think he's a
Not a football
cornerback.
player?
Teddy's a cornerback out of Sarasota, kid that I guess had been projected to end up at Florida. So if that happens, sure, he's a Cardinal Mooney kid. But Teddy, I didn't even have him on my radar for Miami. So I think for sure he's probably going to end up in Gainesville. I think the only other official visit he took was to North Carolina. So yes, listen, the Gators are doing a great job. I'm not here to make this a Miami, Florida or Miami, Florida State thing. I think the Gators and the job that staff have done, especially this recruiting cycle, you tip your hat. They're kicking some ass. And the reality is, yes, they're in on some of the same kids, but for the most part, those guys are I would say they kind of stick to their own kid, like their own makeup, right? Like every now and then they'll go head to head for kids, but it's not as often as you think.
Right. Okay. And by the way, folks, subscribe to Manny there at The Athletic. He's got a full story on Joshua Trader, so you can read up on the entire recruiting process and how Mac and all that. You heard some of it. You can read the entire story there and get some other insight there on the Canes. All right. When is training camp officially starting?
I think August 1st, Tuesday, August 1st is the day that I've heard is going to be when it started. Miami hasn't announced anything yet. They're going to have their, what's it called? Their fan day, that they always do.
Sure.
I know they announced that on their website. What they do, it's going to be August 12th. I think it's the weekend where they'll be at the stadium and do like a practice there and everything and have the fans come in. So, but August 1st, I believe, is when camp gets rolling. And then, like I said, ACC meetings kickoff are just around the corner. I know Big 12 is doing theirs. In fact, I don't know if you saw some of the comments that Brent Venables, Oklahoma's coach, made regarding Miami, hinting at Miami.
What did he say?
He said all 7 lost seasons are not built the same. He said that they didn't lose to Middle Tennessee State and to Florida State 45-3. Again, this is all comedy for me because Venables is trying to recruit against Miami to get David Stone, who's one of the 5-star defensive linemen. So he took advantage. Again, coach is always using every platform possible.
Even though his team kind of took a crap in the second half of the season, if I remember correctly, right?
Well, they lost 49-0 to Texas. So, hey, but
let's leave the facts out of it.
Let's leave the facts out of it. But that was kind of comical. I know that was received in Miami, and let's just say I think they hope they run into Oklahoma soon.
I mean, this is kind of what this is what you have to live with after that season. This is kind of what you have to live with, unfortunately.
Right.
But I still believe in Mario. I've always believed in Mario. I won't shy away from the fact that last season was a disgrace. I mean, there's no way around it. And I'm sure Mario is thoroughly embarrassed with what happened, last year, because I don't think he wants to be. I never saw that bad at FIU, bro.
Right.
When he was there. You know what I'm saying? So, I know that a prideful dude like that, brother, he must be, God, it must have eaten at him all off season and motivated him more for this season. Knowing the way Mario is, that guy must be just going crazy to make sure that shit doesn't happen again. And that's why he had to make all these changes.
Yeah, he basically went back to the offenses and defenses that worked when, I wouldn't say worked, but they certainly were doing better than what he went with a year ago, right? It's very familiar to the players that are here. It's a system that they're comfortable playing in, a spread offense with an aggressive attacking defense that's going to bring blitzes and different schemes. So it's harkening back to what Manny Diaz ran, and I think a lot of it just has to do because of the personnel. Will that change in the time going forward? It could. He keeps recruiting 6'6", 330-pound offensive linemen. He will be able to run the football.
Yes.
And dominate up front. He gets some of these, dominant defensive tackles, and, you can play a little bit more of the Kevin Steele type defense. You just need the personnel, and that's the problem for Miami. It's getting those guys in and having the kind of depth you need to run the kind of schemes that Mario wants to run.
What do you got going on the athletics so folks can check you out, my friends?
Well, you did tease the JoJo Trader story. I had told you earlier this week about the USF piece. That was received
I
well.
saw it.
A lot
It's
of
there,
Miami
yeah.
fans, a lot of Tampa fans, USF fans were interested in reading that. I'm actually working on a fun piece regarding Miami and the SEC. I know Miami fans in the past have always sort of said, "Man, why couldn't we have gotten in the SEC? Why did we end up in the Big East and this kind of stuff?" So I went and I hunted down some people. Dave Scott, who's worked for the past 10 years at FIU, was at Miami. He was actually Jimmy Johnson's recruiting coordinator. Actually worked with Ron Frazier before that.
Wow.
Started in '81 at Miami doing baseball with Ron Frazier, and then Jimmy needed somebody to come head up his recruiting in '87, and he went over to football. He's won 8 national championships. He's got 8 rings, 4 in baseball, 4 in football. And so I caught up with him yesterday just to talk about the early '90s when Miami first got into the Big East, and then when they decided to go to the ACC. He was there with all of Miami's leadership's group back then, the athletic directors, the presidents, and so he kind of knew what was going on. And so that'll be coming out probably next Monday, and I'll have plenty more stories here in the lead up to the ACC kickoff.
Follow him on Twitter at Manny_Navarro and subscribe to The Athletic like I do. Great deals there for you when you sign up. Manny, as always, thank you, my brother. Have a fantastic weekend. We will catch up on Tuesday.
All right, brother. Take care.
Thank you, sir. There you go. The great Manny Navarro. Remember, Caneswear, 2511 South University Drive in Davie. And you can order anything and everything that they've got there with the Canes logo on it. They've got Inter-Miami gear, Messi gear, too, on top of all of that. Marlins, Dolphins, Heat. They got it all for you, man. Brett, Jeff, all the great people out there, man. They do a phenomenal job. Ken, go check it out. 2511 South University Drive in Davie. That is your Caneswear Miami Hurricanes report.
If you
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.